at a lot of cases to understand how whatever we have learned so far can be applied in terms of trying to solve specific cases under the financial services industry. Right, so we're going to use some short cases to basically try and resolve the problems that someone would face in the financial services industry on a day-to-day basis. And our idea would be that we basically use whatever we have learned so far to solve these, right? So let's begin with the first case. Now, let's assume that you are a financial advisor who wants to explain to a client that early investing has its benefits. So the earlier the client starts to invest, the better it is. Your client wants to have about 5 crore rupees to, for his retirement by the time he retires, that is at the age of 60. He's currently 25 years old, and you're telling him, please save money or invest money in markets or some asset classes. But he plans to save money only once his salary is greater than 15 lakhs. He says, I don't have enough money today. What will I save in what I'm getting? His current salary is 2.5 lakhs per annum, approximately, right? The problem statement says you want to showcase that early investing can give him huge benefits in terms of lower amount to be invested every year if started early. Assume the rate of return to be 12% and show the sensitivity of the returns to the entire problem as well. Right? So the problem statement is this. You are just trying to showcase that early investing will be beneficial. And if the client starts investing early, what is the benefit, right? So in other words, what we are saying is that today the age is 25. If he waits till the age of 45 and then invests for this period, how much money does he need to invest every year? How much does he need to invest every year? Versus if he were to invest this period, then how much is required to be invested every year, assuming a 12% rate of return, right? Now there are two parts to the problem. The first part is saying that at 60 crore, you want 60 lakhs, 60 years, you want 5 crore of money. For that, how much you have to invest? So that's the problem of solving an annuity. And we already know that this can be solved using a function PMT, right? The second part of the problem says you want to show the sensitivity to this and probably also the sensitivity to what happens if you start investing at 25 or at the age of 45. What is the difference between these two periods, right? So the second part is the sensitivity thing, which we are going to solve. And for sensitivity, what do we remember we have used earlier? We've used the table function, data table function that we're going to use for sensitivity, right? Let's try and solve this. So on the Excel file, what we have is the time frame of investment or tenure. Let's start with a number of 15. What does that mean? The client starts investing at the age of 45, right? So the time frame is 15 years. The amount needed or retirement, let's name that retirement corpus needed is 5 crores. So yeah, that's the number, 5 crore. We can also put a currency to this. So that's the amount needed, 5 crore rupees is needed, right? And we're expecting a return on whatever you invest at 12%, correct? So if I was to find out the annual investment needed, remember at this point we're just looking at annual investment. So annual investment needed, that's an annuity function that we are going to solve for, and we already know that PMT would allow us to solve this. We have the parameters for the PMT. We know the rate, that's 12%. We know the number of periods, that's 15. Present value is, let's say, 0. He doesn't have any money today. Future value is negative of 5 crore, right? So if I click on OK, that's the amount needed every year. Let's convert this to rupees and let's remove the decimals. So 13 lakh rupees would be needed every year if I were to convert this to a monthly investment. And this is not exactly a correct way to do it because the investments can get compounded, but let's at least try and understand what would be the monthly investment needed. The monthly investment, if the customer decides to invest at the age of 45, right, then the monthly investment needed would be 1,11,000. Right? That's a huge amount. Even if your salary is 15, 20 lakhs, 25 lakhs at that point of time, that's a fairly huge amount to look at. Right? So now you want to showcase what happens if this time frame increases. In other words, if age is 45, age is 50, when does the guy start? Age is 40, and another trick of Excel is I can drag this down. Let's say we get this, right? If age is this much, then how much is the time left? The time left is basically going to be equal to 10 years, 15 years, and so on and so forth, right? That's the number of years for which you will be able to invest. Our base case was this cell, correct? Let's also put in some headers about 10%, 12%, 15% return. What happens if return rates vary between 10, 12, and 15? And I'm just going to increase the font a little bit because the width a little bit, because we might need that data here, right? Now we can resolve this problem. We can solve this case of what is needed in this period by using the next part, which is the data table. So the first thing is we could have solved this also using a different mechanism, which would have been, I could have said what would be the monthly investment needed. For that, instead of doing this by 12, I could have done a PMT of the rate by 12, number of periods into 12, 0 present value and this future value, and we'll get this number. And if I do the future value as negative, that's the number we get. So approximately that's the monthly investment needed. Now let's say we are projecting the monthly investment and this number is lesser than this by 12 because there's a compounding thing that is happening, right? So you need 1 lakh rupee a month every year. That's the monthly investment needed, right? And let's also convert this to a currency. Now look at this table. This table is basically telling me what is the monthly investment needed. In fact, let's put this as 12, 13%, and 14% and 15%. Let's create a slightly bigger table that gives us an idea about, okay, what is the kind of investment that's happening. Let's also put a broader sense around this, right? This looks good. Okay, so that's the table that we have that we're going to look at. This cell, the corner cell, in other words, let's put some borders to this table. So if we put some borders to this table, we know where is the table function going to get used, right? Now link this cell to the monthly number. And this, remember, we are looking at the monthly investment needed for these many number of years to be invested, right? Now what do I do? As in the data table functionality, I will select this, go to data, right? In data, we have what if analysis and we have a data table. So there is a row input cell and there is a column input cell, right? There's a row input cell and there is a column input cell. The row input cell has to be the cell that is present here in the form of a row in the top, which is the return. The column input cell has to be which is present in the form of a column, which is essentially your time frame, and I can click on OK, right? Now when I click on OK, we find all this data gets populated, and let's format all this data to make this a little bit more readable in terms of what we are looking at, right? And let's remove the decimal points as well. Okay, so what was our base case? This cell here was our base case. We said at the age of 45, there are 15 years left to investment till the age of 60, and we're assuming a 12% return based on these parameters for those 15 years or 180 periods. If you invest 1 lakh rupees every month, that's going to end up with 5 crore at the end of it. Now what we realize, if the person starts investing at the age 40, which means the number of periods become 20, right? 20 into 12 is 240. If this person starts investing 5 years earlier, you would see that the amount of investment goes from 1 lakh to 50,000. That's almost one half of that. Another 5 years earlier is approximately another half of that. Another 5 years earlier is another half of that, right? So practically, with every 5 year delay in investment, you can say that at a 12% return, you are practically doubling the amount you have to invest to reach at the same 5 crore level. If you start at the age of 50, you need 2,17,000 at 12% interest. Now, if the interest was 13%, the amount would become lesser. And if the interest you're getting or return you're getting is 15% and you start today, then practically at the age 25, you can survive with an investment of 3,400 rupees a month, right? Now, can the person do it? The person says, I will do the saving only once I have a particular rate of, a particular rate of saving, particular amount that is saved in my account. What is the current salary? We are saying that the current salary of this person is 2,50,000 per annum, right? And how much is that per month? So per month, we're looking at approximately this by 12. So 20,800 odd rupees is the current salary of this person. Can this person save 3,000 rupees and invest in an asset class that gives a good return, or 4,000 rupees and invest in an asset class that gives a good return, right? Now, which asset classes would give 14-15% return? This would typically be, if I was to create a zone around this, you'd probably say these three are your areas where you would say equities, and these are areas where you would say blended. Blended would mean equity plus debt or bonds, right? That's the areas where you're investing. If you can recommend the person to invest about 3,400 rupees a month in equity markets, and markets give 15% return over a period of time, then this person would end with a 5 crore rupee portfolio at the end of the period, right? If I, for example, just you want to corroborate this, I change this to 20. If I change this to 20, we should be seeing these values here. So the moment you do 20, you see 5543, which is here, right? You change this to 25, you will see 26612 that was available here, right? So all we are doing is we have basically created a dynamic sensitivity table, which is saying that if you are investing at a particular age, it is always great to start investing early, and based on your investment preferences, you can choose what instruments you want and you can figure out what is the amount you need to invest. Early investing would have significant advantages in this particular case, and that's what we have demonstrated using primarily two functions, the first one being PMT and the second one being data table. So that's what we have used. That's it in this particular short case. Just try and play around with the numbers a little bit and try and build this sensitivity sheet for yourself. Thank you.